Today I'm making lasagna and I'm starting with baby bella mushrooms, one beefsteak tomato, one yellow onion, one clove of elephant garlic, one box of lasagna noodles, 2.5 pounds of ground beef, lean, some ricotta cheese, tomato, basil, and garlic sauce. I have 2 jars here, but we're only going to use one for the recipe. Some mozzarella cheese and some Parmesan cheese. Those are all of the ingredients. I'm going to start by pouring some oil in the water for my lasagna noodles and putting a little salt in there. So I'm prepping the water for the noodles. Once it starts to boil, I will add my noodles in. It's time to add the noodles into the boiling water, and you boil for about 10 minutes. And make sure to stir them up. Here I'm getting ready to cut up my mushrooms. I'm dicing them, not too fine of pieces, but smaller chunks. That's just my preference. You can use whatever vegetables you want or not. I'm going to cut up my tomato dicing also. Put that on the side. Next is my onion. I'm peeling this onion. I'm going to get it peeled. Okay, so I'm dicing my onion also. Get that prepped. And I'm going to move on to my garlic. Going into my garlic, I'm going to use a garlic press to squeeze some of those juices out. I'm just going to put it in the same bowl as my onion. Once I'm done squeezing out and mincing some of that garlic, I'm going to mince it by hand with my knife. Add that into my bowl. This is fresh oregano, sage, and young basil. This is from my garden, so I just added this. This is optional. You do not have to add these, or you can use an Italian seasoning if you'd like, if you don't have the fresh herbs. If you do use fresh herbs, make sure to chop them finely. Here I'm adding my olive oil to my pan so that I can cook my mushrooms, tomatoes, my herbs, and onions. I'm just going to saute them so that they get a nice little coating of oil on them and cook down a little bit. I'm putting that off onto the side so that I can start on my meat. Once I get my meat in my pan, since the lean meat is a little bit more stiff, I take time to really try and break it down so that I don't have so many large lumps. Use your teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of black pepper. You're going to keep stirring this meat and mixing your seasoning well until it's time to mix back in your vegetable mix. Here I'm adding my vegetables back into the mix and adding another teaspoon of salt, another teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and onion powder, and my 1 jar of tomato sauce. Mix your sauce together really well and let it simmer on the stove for about 20 minutes. Let your meat and your sauce cook together for about 20 minutes, and then while you're doing that, you can prepare your noodles so that you can start piecing together your lasagna. I'm going to start putting my lasagna in the pan. This is a meat first layer. I'm using the ricotta and I'm layering it with some mozzarella and some Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to add my noodles. Don't worry about the noodles that are a little bent up. They will straighten out once you put your sauce back on it. So this is my second layer of the ricotta cheese, as well as the meat sauce and the mozzarella and the Parmesan. You want to get some good layers of cheese in there, especially if you love the cheese. I am finishing up the top here of the lasagna pan that I have. So this is 2 rows. I'm going to top it with a little bit of mozzarella and a little bit of parmesan. Since I had a little bit of sauce left over, I decided to make another video showing the lasagna going down first, the lasagna noodles, and then putting the sauce on top. This is a single layer lasagna only because I didn't have enough to do any more layers in this pan, but I just wanted to show the difference. I used the same layers as I did in the other pan, which is the ricotta cheese, along with the mozzarella and the Parmesan cheese. And I top my lasagna with another layer of lasagna noodles and another layer of mozzarella and Parmesan. Once you get all your layers together, you're going to cover your lasagna. I personally use parchment paper and foil to lock in my flavors. You're baking on 350 for about 30 minutes. Once 30 minutes comes, you take your lasagna out of the oven. With your lasagna uncovered, place it back in the oven for 25 minutes and bake. Then place it on broil for another 5 minutes and then remove. You can cut your lasagna up into squares once it cools down a little bit. Now you can get ready to serve your lasagna. And this is a very simple, easy recipe to make. And I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Your support helps me to keep teaching.